All right, let's talk about representing decimals. So there are lots of different ways to represent decimals. You can do word form, you can do place value desc, you can do base 10 blocks, you can do money. There are a whole bunch of different ways. And so we're going to start by looking at word form, which is literally how you read it out loud, written in words. So we have 35 tenths here. So I'm going to say 35 tenths. And since it's the same way that I said it out loud, I've written it in words. There it is, represented in word form. And now I'm going to move on to place value discs. So place value discs are just basically circles representing a certain amount of a place value. So I'm going to look at each place value individually and how I would represent that part. So I have a 3 here in the tenths place. So I'm going to draw 3 circles. Draw them a little bigger. So there are my 3. And I'm going to label each of them as 1/10. So how many tenths do I have? I have 3. Now I need to represent my hundredths place. So I'm going to do 5 circles. And I'm going to write 100th in each one. So how many tenths or how many hundredths do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now that I have my 3 tenths and my 5 hundredths, I have now represented my decimal of 35 hundredths in place value discs. Another way that you can do this is with base 10 blocks. The thing about base 10 blocks is it gets a little bit confusing when it comes to representing decimals because we use the same blocks that we represent tenths and hundredths with that we do for representing ones and tens in regular place value. So when we're talking about decimals, we're representing the ones place as our whole, which is our hundreds block that we normally use, or our flat. And then we have our tenths, which is represented by our tens block, and our hundredths, which is represented by our little 1 block. So I'm going to represent it in 2 different ways to show you the parts, and then I'm going to show you them put together in the whole model. So we have 3 tenths here, so those are represented by our tens block, or the rod as it is also called. So here I have my 3 tenths, and then I'm going to represent my hundredths, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So here I have represented 3 tenths and 5 hundredths, which together is our 35 hundredths. In the model, it's going to look like this. So here we have our whole model represented here, but it's not a full whole model, so it's not representing 1. It's 3 tenths, which are right here, and our 5 hundredths. So it's the same thing, just represented in bits and 1 in the full model. So we have our word form, our place value discs, and then we have our base 10 blocks model. And I'm also going to show you money. The thing about money is there's a lot of different ways to represent 35 hundredths. I'm going to show you a few different ways, and then I'm just going to kind of list off the other ways that we could do it. So the first way that you would think of, or that I think of when I'm doing 35 hundredths, is I would look at the tenths and the hundredths place. So we have 3 tenths to represent, so I'm going to use 3 dimes. So 1 dime, 1 dime, and my last dime. So this is representing my 3/10 or 30 cents. And now I need to represent my 500ths, which I could represent using pennies or a nickel. I'm going to use a nickel. So we have 1 nickel. So we have, this is 1/10, 1/10, 1/10, and our 500ths. Now, you could also do this using 3 dimes and 5 pennies, because 5 pennies or 1 penny is equal to 100th. You could also do 1 quarter and 1 quarter and a dime would be the same. No, Miss Perry's real tired today. You could do 1 quarter and 1. Yeah, 1 quarter and 1 dime. What am I thinking? It'd be 1 quarter and 1 dime. Or you could do 7 nickels. You could also do 35 pennies. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you could represent your decimal using money. I think the simplest of the ways is to use place value discs and to use word form. But for every kid it's different. So whatever works for your child or for you if you are the student, you can choose whichever way works best for you, unless it's asking for a specific way. But again, there's a whole bunch of different ways that you could represent decimals. For example, you could even do fraction form, which is 35 hundredths. Right there for you. And that has been Math Corner with Miss Perry. I hope that I have been of some assistance, and I hope that you reach out if you do need more help. See you later.